what's really behind Iran, what's really behind the so-called deal that Obama did, and where this is all leading. And you made a point during the break that was critical.
That Obama, what's horrifying about this is Obama still has power. He's still active from his so-called bunker. He's still calling a lot of shots. He is not being indicted for these obvious acts of treason against America that span many, many years of his entire presidency. If anyone needs to be investigated, indicted, and imprisoned if found guilty by a jury, it's Barack Obama and his co-conspirators, which include, by the way, Robert Mueller and Hillary Clinton. That is the upshot of this realization here.
And he's still, even in the news, on most of Trump's trips, he follows around behind him with 3 jets. And as soon as Trump leaves, he shows up and then goes and talks to the same leader to sabotage it.
Yeah.
So it's a permanent deep state trying to hold on. And I think Trump's starting to get a little bit of control, but I don't think it's 50-50 yet. I mean, this is such edge-of-your-seat type stuff that I can't describe to listeners and viewers. This is epic. They're trying to derail the peace deal with North Korea. They're trying to start a war. And I overall do trust Trump. I got mad at him when they struck Syria because I get he's being manipulated into all this. But at a larger level, at a gut level, still trust Trump. He's done so much good. That doesn't mean I won't disagree with him when he's wrong, but just overall, you know a man by his enemies. And what do you think of Trump?
Well, Obama still wants to destroy America, and Trump absolutely wants to save America from that destruction. That, in a nutshell, is what you need to realize. Trump is doing everything in his power to try to prevent the absolute destruction of America.
Mike Adams is with us until the second hour is over, into the third hour. And then we've got the fourth hour with Paul Joseph Watson. And he's got a ton of stuff he's going to be covering. So Mike Adams is with us for the balance of the second hour and the full third hour today. He is here to break down clear evidence of Obama treason, money laundering with Iran, and the other side of the story with this crisis bringing the world to the edge of war. He's not just a health ranger, best-selling author, and supplement formulator, and over 300 successful websites, and one of the top health sites. He also is an engineer. He also owns a big lab that tests foods and other things. So he's a jack of many scientific trades, and he's got a ton of news articles and analysis he's going to break down right now. So, Mike, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Alex, for having me on. Prime Minister Netanyahu really broke huge news yesterday, as you know, that cache of documents, 100,000 plus documents, and CD-ROMs that showed that Iran has a secret nuclear weapons program that they've been pursuing even after 2015, when Obama signed the deal with Iran to try to denuclearize their country. But what we are going to do today is connect the dots. This is major breaking news research. What I have here in the next few minutes, as Alex has invited me on to share this special report, is connecting the dots of events that happened from 2011, 2015, 2016, and today that show that former President Obama transferred military technology to Iran, transferred illegally laundered money to Iran to fund its covert nuclear program, laundered uranium nuclear fuel into Iran in order to provide them the fuel that they need to build nuclear weapons, and then lied to America, told America that none of this was happening, and won a Nobel Peace Prize for lying to America while arming America's enemies. So I'm going to break that down for you here over the next few minutes. And Alex, I was going to do this as a counterthink episode, but I realized this was too important. This needs to go out right now.
Well, you're still going to do that, and this is a good launch of Counterthink. You're going to tape a show each week that's going to air after the popular Sunday broadcast. We want our affiliates to all be sure, TV and radio, to pick that up, because Mike, I got to say, in many ways, is a lot better than I am on radio and TV. And he also does, I don't know how he does it, so much preparation for everything. If you're watching on TV right now, you're getting to see the amazing graphics he's put together for the first episode that I guess is going to air this Sunday of counterthink. You're going to get a sneak peek of that right now. But I really respect Mike. Mike's not a pro-war guy. He was against the Iraq war, you name it. But he's in here, saying this whole thing with Obama, and I believe him, I've seen the evidence, is a bad deal. And this is why Trump is so upset. We don't want war, but I think really bringing all this out is important to let Iran know that we're aware of what they did. But even more importantly, this could bring down Obama and the Clinton crime syndicate. So break all down the facts and what's behind this.
All right. It does involve Hillary Clinton, Robert Mueller, Barack Obama, and other players in the current crime syndicate. So let's start at the beginning. Number one, December 2011, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to have to refer to a lot of my notes here, but for those of you listening on radio, that doesn't matter.
No, it's fine. You're going through the evidence here.
That's right. December 2011, we were told by the mainstream media that a drone was GPS spoofed by Iran and that they captured the drone by landing it without crashing it on a runway in Iran, and that gave them all of this military technology in our drone. It was an RQ-170 Sentinel drone. I believe today, based on the evidence that I'm presenting here, that that drone was deliberately delivered to Iran by Barack Obama. It was not captured. We know that GPS spoofing is possible when you're using a civilian GPS signal. However, military drones use encrypted military GPS signals. Beating the encryption is virtually impossible, even if you have quantum computers, which Iran does not have.
It's scrambled, and a lot of it's classified, but it's designed as soon as it picks something up that's not scrambled, you can't break it, it jumps to another scrambled frequency.
Yes, and it's, I think it's 512-bit or 1024-bit military-grade encryption. It is almost impossible to break. But the other experts that have talked about this said that it would be virtually impossible for Iran to even visually spot this aircraft, which has a very low profile. In order to jam its GPS and conduct this GPS spoofing and capture it, you would have to spot the aircraft and then broadcast GPS signals, beating the military encryption and overtaking the communication between this aircraft, the drone, and satellites. Now, these drones can fly up to 40,000 feet, probably higher. That's classified. But how do you interfere with satellite signals between the drone and high orbit satellites? If you have land-based broadcast,
you'd have to have another satellite.
You'd have to have another satellite, which Iran,
or a balloon that was higher.
And the point is that this was not hacked. This is what is now coming together. We're connecting the dots. The Christian Science Monitor reported, quote, deep skepticism from some U.S. cyber warfare experts who doubt Iran's ability to carry out such an operation. Even Russia has not hijacked U.S. military drones over Syria. Think about that. If Russia hasn't done this, how could Iran have the technology?
So the question is, why did Obama transfer this? He's been caught doing this lots of other times. Why did he give him $150 billion?
Exactly. We're going to connect the dots here. John Bumgarner, Chief Technology Officer for the U.S. Cyber Consequences Unit, a nonprofit cyber warfare think tank, says that the idea of capturing this drone is almost like science fiction. And remember that during all this time, by the way, Israel had been assassinating Iranian nuclear scientists to try to slow down their nuclear programs. So Obama, who of course is an enemy of Israel and actually sought to interfere with the election of Netanyahu, we'll get to that, has been transferring military technology to Iran. Now, that's point one. Second point, January 2016, the U.S. Navy ship, the Riverine Squadron 1, that's based out of San Diego, 10 U.S. Navy sailors, 9 men and 1 woman, were taken hostage by Iran. And they said that these 2 Navy ships ran aground because they went off course or had mechanical problems. This is nonsense. The routes are carefully planned by the Navy. Other Navy ships are monitoring these Riverine boats. They have advanced navigation gear. What we believe now, or at least my analysis shows, that this is part of a pattern of Obama transferring military technology to Iran. The GPS equipment was seized off of these boats before Iran turned those boats back over to the United States. And this was a political coup, a propaganda win for Iran. And John Kerry apologized for the United States, and Obama basically bowed down to Iran. And the media told us that this was a credible, that Iran had spoofed the GPS of these boats. And they said that's possible because, remember, back in 2011, they spoofed the drone, which is also nonsense. So they used fake news from 2011 to support the fake news in 2016. All this time, Obama is transferring military technology to Iran. We were told that the boats misnavigated. but that's nonsense. Michael Savage pointed this out in his book, Scorched Earth. He said the whole thing was a setup. He said there's a double agent inside of this. I'm quoting directly from Michael Savage in his book. He said that agent did it to us with one of our most advanced drones 2 years ago. You may have forgotten that already, but
stay there. This is, and folks, you've got to stay with us. Even if you're driving a truck right now or at school or at lunch, you've got to come back later when we archive this to Infowars.com, Newswars.com, naturalnews.com, and Counterthink on Sunday when he really lays it out. Because when you see all the evidence, you get a clear picture of the Muslim Brotherhood, Kenya, the overthrow, the Arab Spring, the collapse of Europe, the master plan. Mike Adams is here with us, the health ranger. Some stations don't carry this first 5 minutes. A lot of TV stations do, a lot of radio, but some don't. I'd say half of them. And so this is so important. We're going to cover some other news right now and then get back into his big presentation. And, you know, when he's sitting there talking about this, Mike Adams, I know this stuff. I know it's true. I know he's right. And I'm getting frustrated. I don't get jealous of how smart he is. I get frustrated that I know all this, and then I get caught up in the rat race, and then I don't put the dots together and I don't break it down. Why Trump's pissed about Iran, why the deal we did was bad, and what Obama had is a larger picture. It's bigger than Iran. It's bigger than nuclear weapons. It's the rest of the story, and we're going to lay it out. I think it'll probably take another 2 or 3 segments, then we'll get into other news here with Mike Adams. But it's so critical that people understand this information. We're going to get back into it next segment. Please tell your friends and family to tune in because, yeah, this could start World War III, or they called that really the Cold War, World War IV. I want Trump to get the Peace Prize. I want to have freedom on the Korean Peninsula. We want to see all these things happen. But this radical Islamic takeover, allied with the socialists and the left, has to be crushed. It has to be defeated. It's an admitted plan. And so let's digress into that for the few minutes of this segment. Then we'll get back into the main meat of this investigative report you're breaking down live here, Mike Adams. The alliance between the left and Orthodox radical Islam. And the fact that in parliamentary countries with 15 major parties, 7 or 8 that are dominant, 10, 15, 20% Islamic voting mass who almost all vote together and are allied with the left, that's a takeover of all of Europe. We're almost there.
Europe is almost lost, Western Europe, at this point. And you look at the criminalization that they've done to members of government and law enforcement officers who dare say that these rapes are happening by immigrants or refugees and so on. They're being criminalized. They're being silenced. They're being shut out of their jobs. Look at what's happened in the UK. Look at now the immigration enforcement officer or policy officer is now, I believe, a Muslim who's running that. And of course, the Mayor Khan of London
is bringing in Sharia law.
That's exactly what it is. And it is a takeover. And it's all done in the name of inclusiveness and openness and peace. You see, that's the thing. They can always talk about.
But they're not inclusive. I mean,
Exactly.
notice that, a gentleman gets up and points out, hey, I'm from Malaysia. The Muslims are arresting people that even criticize them in any way there. They're taking over. That was even a majority Muslim country 50 years ago. They take over everywhere. Most of the crime here is Muslims. They shut him down and don't respond.
But any citizen, there are many citizens in Western Europe that agree with what you're saying and your analysis here. But when they speak up, then they are criminalized, right? They are.
So where's the openness?
There's no openness. You must accept this being overrun. 100 years from now, historians will look back and they'll say, remember when Western Europe actually had, Europeans?
It's a slow motion Constantinople.
Yeah. The ebb and flow of history where cultures take over and lose ground and take it over again. And sometimes that ebb and flow takes centuries to unfold. But we're looking at one right here.
And all the Muslims have been doing is expanding. That's all they do is expand. They always act friendly till they get 20%, and then they start killing your ass, and then they make a deal with your government to roll over, and then they become dominant, and then your wives are slaves.
But what's even more frustrating is that you're no longer allowed to believe in your own nation anymore, because then that's called nationalism and that's called racism. So if you love America, or if you love your country of the United Kingdom or Germany or Spain for that matter,
and you want any of your culture to be respected, you're open, but you say our culture's okay.
Right.
You are evil. They're even getting rid of EU level teams that mention nation names.
You're evil if you love your country. That's what it is.
Yeah, here's the old Italian guy getting thrown out of his little hotel for African Muslims. We'll be right back with Mike Adams. If you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Adams is an engineer. He's an award-winning journalist, and he's got the floor for the rest of the hour if need be, because he's breaking down what's behind the Iran deal. What's it really signify? It's a window into the Obama globalist Islamic takeover plan and what the Arab Spring was designed to do, to collapse the Middle East, to open up Europe's borders, to flood them with an Islamist invasion. You've got the Pope behind it. You've got all these different French politicians pushing it, saying not one crime's ever been committed by a Muslim, on and on and on. Sarkozy just said that. So you're about to get the full spectrum of the transfer of our technology to Iran and others, and what the master double-cross plan is, and what Mike, who's a great tactician, thinks Trump's doing that's got the globalists so upset, at least with this alliance with Saudi Arabia right now, who's real bad as well. So, Mike, recap and then lay it out.
I'm going to recap for those joining us in the third hour here on the Alex Jones Show. But by the way, you mentioned this a couple of days ago. Never forget that Bill Clinton helped enable the transfer of nuclear technology to North Korea. So we have this history of Democrats taking office and exploiting and abusing their positions of power to empower and enrich very dangerous nuclear-capable countries that go on to threaten America's interests. North Korea, of course, threatened American cities directly. And Iran has also, of course, threatened to nuke America as well as America's allies, such as Israel. So this is a pattern. But until now, I think no one has connected the dots on this pattern of Obama transferring technology, military secrets, as well as laundering money and gold. American gold has been sent to Iran in order to help fund their nuclear development program. The reason this is happening today is because of Netanyahu and because of Israeli intelligence and that cache of documents that they discovered. Now we know that Israel intelligence has proven that Iran lied, that Iran has been running a covert nuclear development program. So let me just recap very, very quickly. We got to go back to 2011. That's where we start. And by the way, Alex, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on and present
Thanks for
this
coming
report.
on. Lay it out.
This is the kind of stuff people need to hear. December 2011, the RQ-170 Sentinel, the drone, U.S. military drone using advanced military encrypted GPS, was captured by Iran. And we were told by the media that it was spoofed using GPS spoofing.
And you laid out how even our own Pentagon, everybody else says that's totally false.
That's right.
The Russians can't even do it. So why did Obama give it to them?
Obama, we believe, gave them that technology because he was transferring military technology to Iran. And then in January of 2016, he allowed 2 Navy ships to be captured by Iran. Those were the Riverine Squadron ships with advanced communications and navigation technology.
They ordered him in there and ordered him to stand down.
This was a setup. And as I mentioned, Michael Savage also has gone public with that in his book, Scorched Earth. That was a setup. So we have this pattern here. Now, the money. We know that Obama laundered $1.7 billion in cash and put it on a cargo plane and had that cargo plane flown into Iran. This is illegal money laundering. And if you're wondering why he did it in cash,
you know it came back to him.
Well, some of it did, no doubt.
Yeah.
He's skimming and others are skimming off the top. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. In February of 2016, right around the time that he transferred the Navy boat technology to Iran by staging the capture, Obama released $100 billion in frozen assets as part of the nuclear deal with Iran. $100 billion. Think about how much technology that can fund in terms of covert weapons development, delivery systems development, the acquiring uranium-235 and other ingredients used for nuclear weapons. This was Al Jazeera reported that Iran said it now has access to $100 billion worth of frozen assets thanks to Obama. Now, Obama then also transferred up to $33.6 billion in cash and gold to Iran. And this comes from, this was a Free Beacon article, quoting...
Yeah, Trump's saying it's $150 billion total now.
Yes, and he's been attacked for that, but he's very much correct because I've seen that number as well. We know that just cash and gold was up to $33.6 billion. Think about that. Gold, American gold, transferred to Iran. And this is quoted by Mark Dubowitz, the executive director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He said it was a secret transfer of up to $33.6 billion in cash and gold that were facilitated by the Obama administration between 2014 and 2016.
And right now, we're going to break down what's really behind all this.
So we have Obama bypassing all of the regulatory restrictions and electronic transfer restrictions that were in place globally. Obama could not transfer money to Iran through the existing systems. He had to launder the money like a drug dealer, like a criminal. And by doing so, he was able to bypass all of the scrutiny. Now, think about this, Alex. Can you imagine if Donald Trump laundered $33 billion in money and gold and gave it to anybody? He would be called a traitor. He would be called a treasonous actor. But Obama did this and got away with it. We have the cash on the cargo plane. We have the gold. Mark Dubowitz said, did any of this money go through the formal financial system? If so, the administration is not being truthful about the 1.7 billion.
I mean, he violated a bunch of federal international law doing this, and then you've got him funding the Arab Spring. You've got CNN promoting it, MSNBC. Yes. You've got hundreds of millions now confirmed through Kenya and his cousin going up to put radical Islamicists in charge to basically start a civil war while he's secretly arming Iran.
Yes.
So again, we're getting close to why are they doing that?
Next step, he sought to supply Iran with nuclear fuel. The Cristina Fernandez del Kirchner says that the Obama administration approached her, and she and her administration met with Gary Samore, and they were told to provide nuclear fuel to Iran by the Obama administration officials. This was part of the Iran nuclear deal. They were laundering uranium fuel, and here's how they were doing it. They were telling Iran to send non-refined, low-grade uranium fuel to Russia for processing. And then Russia would turn around and give highly refined processed nuclear fuel back to Iran. Russia was also, through Uranium One, getting nuclear fuel from U.S. mining companies, and that deal was enabled by none other than Robert Mueller, Hillary Clinton, and
who also met
Obama
secretly on the tarmac, giving the Russians a sample. I mean, you cannot make this up.
And so, again, Argentina was involved in this, and by the way, you look at France. Over a decade ago, France was also supplying nuclear fuel to Iran.
Hell, they were doing that when they took the Shah out in 79.
Yes.
78. But let's expand on all this briefly. This is why they started saying Russia, Russia, Russia during the campaign, because they knew they had been selling out in this big secret deal. And so they knew Trump was coming for them on this like he is.
Yes.
And that's why they put this whole smokescreen out.
Well, exactly. And Obama was trying to start World War III, and he was trying to destroy Israel, because remember that Obama oversaw government grants of $350,000 to fund a campaign infrastructure to overthrow Netanyahu.
And let's go further. It's not that Israel's perfect, folks. Some people go, because it's such a big, trendy thing to hit Israel. They've got different parties. They're not perfect. But here's the deal. In the current alliances, it came out in the WikiLeaks 2 years ago that George Soros wants to destroy Israel and turn it over to the Muslims and the Vatican. So you've got the Muslims with the Vatican and the EU and the Chinese in this global alliance against everybody else. And so that's where we're going with this, is this incredible treachery.
So the State Department under Obama gave $350K to this group in Israel called Victory 15, or V15. And the whole point of this group was to defeat Netanyahu. And Obama is the same person who is now complaining about the Russians interfering in U.S. elections, even though he was trying to interfere.
And now that they couldn't do that, they start the same corruption stuff with rogue prosecutors of Netanyahu, the exact same playbook.
Exactly. It's the same thing over and over again. So now, from 2015 on, under the cover of Obama, who said that Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons for over 10 years, the covert nuclear development program actually continued through the funding provided by Obama, and with nuclear fuel that was also laundered through Obama's pressure on other countries.
All right, we tie it all together on the other side, and what the globalists are so scared of and why they're fighting for their lives as this begins to come out. And Trump's going to bring all this out now in the next phase. I've got that from the highest levels. And Mike Adams, without me even talking to him about my sources, he's right here presenting what I know is already coming. Huge evidence of Obama and Iran and a global plan for war. There's only evil in the world the globalists believe, but they know the truth. And once patriots wake up to the fact they're under attack, the sleeping giant will rise over and over again. We're going to get back to Mike Adams and his incredible breakdown of what's really been going on in the Iran deal. Not what you're hearing about not getting nuclear weapons. It's about giving them nuclear weapons and building them up for a giant war a clash of civilizations between Shiite and Sunni, out of which will come the total collapse of the region into Europe. But first, I tell our new TV affiliates that when they pick us up, do you want us to do a press release or tell folks, or you just tell people locally? Because you're going to get a few phone calls, a few threats, a few boycott claims. None of it does anything. And most of them say, yeah, let us just test you and see how it goes. When I said we have over 100 TV stations, that was a few months ago. I can now tell you that TV station-wise, it's over 300, and we're on over 150 different cable systems right now. Now, that's about 50 or so cable owners, but just this new deal is 7 counties, 3 cities, dozens of towns, and it got picked up by 200-plus publications, which the station and the cable systems want. But some of these cable feeds are also on local TV. Our plan to not just have our own cable channel that everybody does and then nobody watches it, but was to go directly to the stations. Because if you agree to be on a cable channel, then suddenly you're not allowed to be on TV. That's how they control it all. I bypassed it all. And I've had this plan for years, but we finally done it. And we're going right to the TV stations. So we're on low peg channels in the top 50 channels on almost all these stations. And then most of them own TV stations. We're on those as well. I don't even want to, because I'm afraid they're going to send a hit team to kill us. That's why they're suing us and coming after us. Because, I mean, it's like every month, hundreds more. And it's really happening. But if you're watching on one of those, tell your friends, your neighbors, your family. Put a bumper sticker up. Become a local sponsor of the cable station. Whatever. It's very inexpensive. You own a restaurant or something, go through a few thousand down a month on local cable. That's how we fight back against George Soros and the globalists. But here it is, Alex Jones Infowars show, now available live on 30A television. And it says 30A broadcast, 9 counties on the Northwest Florida, Panhandle, nationwide on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Play, mobile devices, on and on and on. So that's 9 counties in a whole bunch of big cities and towns. And then it gets onto the broadcast TV, the cable, all of it. So here's the deal. There's so many of these I can't keep track. This is just the cable and TV owner is really happy with the huge coverage they're getting. And this is CBS News reporting on it. So, again, I've not been telling folks what's going on the last year very quietly, but the enemy already figured it out. So I like the stealth attack. Mike, go ahead.
Well, the reason your show is increasingly popular is because exactly, the kind of thing that we're talking about here today, you can't get this reporting on legacy media. They won't touch it. They're told what to say, and they will not tell you the truth about these issues, these big issues, global war issues, issues that threaten our national security. That's why it's so important that Infowars continues to expand. And that's why, by the way, I'm contributing. If you don't mind me plugging, I got a show on Sunday evenings here at Infowars.com. It's called Counterthink. Counterthink, it airs at 6 p.m. Central. And we got a new episode each week with a new guest every week. So, that's a great show.
And again, these station owners, no, do not plug you have a show with us. How horrible. No, yeah, everybody should pick up Counterthink Sunday at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Pacific. Mike Adams, and what's great is these station owners and these network owners, and they get it. These are the owners. They know we're being lied about. They know we're being demonized. And they're saying, when they came after us, when Soros and Hillary came after us, the support just turbocharged.
Yeah, that's what's cool. This is so organic where, you and I just get together and I say, Alex, I can do a show. And you're like, okay, do a show. Do whatever you want to do. Name it whatever you want to name it. Get whatever guests you want.
That's because I've known you for 10 years and trust you.
And I said, okay, we came up with a name. We get the guests. We're recording the shows. They're pre-record shows, and they air every Sunday. And believe me, the stuff we have coming out in the next few episodes is as hard-hitting as this.
And again, it's so exciting because if I see bullies ganging up on somebody and attacking them, I go to their aid. Well, these station owners and managers and everybody already liked us, but when they saw the attack and they know it's lies, yeah, the American in them, the human in them, the man in them, the woman in them is saying, no, we're going to fight. We're not letting them shut down free speech in America.
I know that every attack that's aimed at you is going to be aimed at me too. It's going to be aimed at every independent media publisher, every independent journalist, every independent thinker in America. And we all have to stand up and defend the right to speak, the right to think, the right to tell the truth about real news.
And you've launched a whole website that's awesome just about this. So tell folks about the website for Counterthink.
Well, it's being switched over to the new video format. It's called counterthink.com. It'll carry every episode that you're doing, Plus, like you do, I'm recording some short segments in my home studio that are just breaking news little segments that also support counterthink. And then every Sunday we have the newest episode from Infowars.
And then when that's successful, we'll expand that.
Right. I mean,
and let's be clear, you have over 300 major websites. You're as successful as we are, probably more so. You've been under the radar smartly. That's a word. But now, because of the censorship and stuff, you're launching your own big gargantuan media platform.
Yeah, look, we're all doing everything we can to provide alternative platforms of free speech. You know, we're launching Real.video.
And things like this group of TV and cable stations in Florida that we're so supporting, they're all re-putting out everything we do as well. Everybody should go there to their platform to watch it. All our listeners should go to www.30ATV. That's 30ATV. Everybody should support this.
Alex, the big picture here, I better get back to this report shortly.
But we'll do that after the break. We've already gone too far.
The big picture is Infowars and independent media is the future of the real media in America. The legacy media is collapsing. And if you don't believe that, just look at the clips from the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I mean, these people are vile, malicious.
It was unwatchable evil nastiness.
It's unreal. And they all applauded. They loved it. They loved the jokes from that vile comedian, what's her name, Wolf. They are imploding. They are crashing. They're losing all credibility. The new credibility is with the new media. With real
and don't they get the Streisand effect? People know the lies about us on the news and the constant demonization isn't true. Or even if they don't, they know the media lies. And they go, we better find out. So the station owners go to Hear Who I Am and they go, this is pure Americana.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. People want to hear this message. People want a different point of view from the legacy media, which is all the same obedient, you know.
Well, that's why it's so boring is they put out talking points and then everyone just repeats them. We don't have talking points.
That's right.
Our talking point is the truth.
And that's what's so cool is like with the show, you know, you didn't tell me what I have to say or not say or cover. None of that. Even this report today, you know, I did this with my team and I bring it in. I briefed you on it before the show, so you know the bullet points. But you trust me as an independent researcher to do intelligent analysis. It's organic. This is real news, people. This is how it really works.
That's a whole other thing. I had the liberals threatening to sue me if I used the term real news, claiming they own it. And we went and looked at the court case. They argued with their trademark that it's organic so that no one is allowed to have it. And we're like, well, go ahead and sue us. I mean, it's like, because they want to say Jones admits he's not real news.
Okay.
And that's another thing I hadn't told you about.
No,
I mean, I hadn't
heard that stuff.
Well, the good news is they withdrew their Charlottesville lawsuit knowing it was fake. I'm sure they'll refile it or whatever. But the point is, notice no coverage of that.
Well, real news, by definition, is independent, decentralized news, independent thinkers, independent speakers.
And by the way, that's what they say the motto of www.30ATV, 30ATV is. And so this is awesome. Hey, we're going to be right back with Mike Adams to finish up this powerful presentation on what's really behind the bad Iranian deal. Wait till you learn about this. So again, we're getting hundreds and hundreds of new cable and TV affiliates. We're very, very thankful to all of them. I don't tend to sit there and brag about them until I'm able to talk to the owners and strategize and make sure that's what they want. Because, again, there'll be some bullying that goes on to try to scare them. But, again, it's a paper tiger. But these owners and folks know if they don't stand up against the bullying, we're going to lose the whole shooting match. Do you have any words on that, Mike Adams?
Well, you got to, you know, peace through strength. You know, the Ronald Reagan approach to diplomacy. If you're not strong, if you don't show that you're strong, you're going to be steamrolled. The bullies are out to get you constantly, and the way to win that fight is to stand your ground, assert your rights, and punch back when you have to. And that's, I mean, look, Donald Trump does that. How do you think Donald Trump was so successful in New York real estate and all the real estate deals he did? You think he's a wimp? You think he's just a pushover?
He's charming and nice until you attack him. A lot of people are just thugs all the time. No, he's nice, but then when you attack him, he's vicious.
And that's the way that I treat people too. Very, very polite, very cordial. But you attack me, you're in for a fight. You know what I mean? And you're the same way. You treat people, you know, off air in the studio. You know, you treat people nicely and politely. But if somebody attacks you, you're going to stand your ground. You're going to punch back. You're going to return fire, so to speak. You know, that's a metaphor. Or maybe in the real world, if somebody were to, you know, physically attack, you would punch back physically too. No doubt about it. I'm the same way. I mean, you know, I carry a weapon here in your studio all the time.
We're glad you do.
You know, to defend us.
Absolutely.
Some nut job comes in, he's going to have to go through me.
Exactly. So you're not a victim, and that's what this is all about. We're not bitching about corruption in the world. just to complain and say, oh, we're losers. We believe in you, and we believe when we expose all this, you're going to take the right action. And just briefly, speaking of that, if you're watching us on local TV or local cable, or you're listening to us on local radio, just telling the station thank you, or becoming a sponsor, or telling your friends about it. That changes the world. That's why we're growing. People get a response. They get ratings. But they're also doing it to save the country. And that's why these station owners and managers are doing this. So let them know. And financially support Infowars, folks. We're under attack. It's the money that will stop them dead in their tracks, countering the globalists. We're winning thanks to you. Infowarsstore.com, the best water filtration, the best air filtration, the best high-quality storable foods, great Patriot apparel to meet like-minded people and spread the word, shirts, ball caps, you name it. And, of course, the supplements. We go out, we find at the top of the line, we get them all tested, we find out what's already best-selling, what works for people, and we put it out. Bodies, Ultimate Turmeric Formula, 95% curcumin level. Leading competitors are 3%. They wonder why it doesn't work for them, for inflammation or other stuff. Find out about turmeric. Our Bodies formula is amongst the very best. It's 25% off right now on InfoWarsStore.com. We have the Super Blue toothpaste, mouthwash, immune gargle, spray, 4 different sizes, all discounted, 33% off. InfoWarsStore.com. We also have it for children. And we're going to have to end the X2 Deep Earth Crystal Source of Iodine sale, 25% off because it's getting ready to sell out, and 25% off on Brain Force. All those specials at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Now, Millie Weaver and Gavin Wentz could not get near the illegal alien invasion, George Soros crossing point where they want to start this stampede like they did out of the Middle East and Africa into Europe. They're trying to cause that same stampede, using women and children to hold up. No one asked why Mexico's not taking them. Mexico knows why. It'll cause a giant collapse of collapsed countries into them. So this is a UN globalist, borderless program. And so they couldn't get up there. So without me telling them to, I said, they're contractors. I said, I'm telling you as Infowars, they got a lot of courage. Don't do it. She already got attacked in Charlottesville and everywhere else. So they're now going into the Mexico side. They should be there by the time the 4th hour starts. That's when Watson's hosting. Those live feeds, we'll just tell them just go live feeds. Those will be on Infowars.com. When Watson goes off or something really bad starts happening, we'll cut into his feed with that, and then they'll be on the War Room live. Millie Weaver and Gavin Wentz. Everybody pray for them at the site of the globalist invasion there on the California-Mexico border. Now, we got 5 minutes here, 10 minutes coming up. You've got the floor. Okay. Just briefly, 1 minute recap, and then lay out what's really behind the Iran deal and what the plan was.
Okay, the quick recap on this is, of course, we talked about how Obama deliberately allowed the technology of military technology transfer to Iran by allowing them to capture a U.S. drone, actually probably flying it right into Iran's runways, and also transferring the U.S. Navy technology by having those 2 ships captured and creating an international embarrassment for the United States. That was right before Obama had his State of the Union speech, by the way, that year, 2016. We also talked about how Obama then laundered money and transferred up to $33.6 billion in cash and gold to Iran in order to fund their nuclear weapons development program, which has now been uncovered by Israel and Netanyahu. So during this entire time, of course, Obama was also interfering with Israel's elections, giving government grant money to an anti-Netanyahu group called V15 that sought to defeat Netanyahu in the elections. Now, moving on, because I'm going to wrap this up here in the next few minutes. Pay attention. This is really hard-hitting. You're going to realize just what a traitor Obama has been.
This is the meat of the matter.
So the secret nuclear weapons development program continued under Obama. From 2015 on, it was undertaken. It went covert, but as Netanyahu has revealed, they continued to engage in, quote, designing nuclear weapons, developing nuclear cores, building nuclear implosion systems, preparing nuclear tests, and integrating nuclear warheads on missiles. Those are 5 key functions that every nuclear-capable weapon system program must pursue, and they were all being pursued under Obama's so-called agreement that claimed to be depriving Iran of these nuclear weapons. Now, Obama knew at the same time that Russia was providing nuclear know-how to Iran. I'm going to say that again. Obama knew that Russia was providing nuclear expertise to Iran. This came out in a John Solomon article from thehill.com in March of 2018. Excuse me. He talks about William Douglas Campbell, telling The Hill that his evidence included Russia was intercepting non-public copies of international inspection reports on Tehran's nuclear program. In other words, to show that they were compliant with Obama, even though it was all being fudged. And at the same time, Russia was sending equipment, advice, and material to a nuclear facility inside Iran. This was happening at the same time that the uranium-1 scandal was breaking in the United States, which Robert Mueller, the current special counsel, helped cover up in order to provide cover to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. William Douglas Campbell talked of a payment network, a covert underground payment network to move funds between Russia and Iran with kickbacks to Americans, which we can safely assume would include the Clinton Foundation, which is one of the most egregious criminal organizations in the history of nonprofits.
And before that even existed, they were instrumental as president and co-president in 96 and 97, transferring the ICBM, the MIRV technology, the detonator systems, the launch systems to North Korea.
Yes.
The Clintons have given more weapons of the ballistic missile and atomic type, more of the fissile material, more of the know-how, more of the reactors than the Chinese did.
Campbell, you're exactly right. We got about a minute left in this segment. Campbell added that he became concerned the United States was providing favorable decisions to the Russian nuclear industry in 2010 and 2011 under Obama, clearing the way for Moscow to buy large U.S. uranium assets and secure billions in nuclear fuel contracts. And he reported, even as he reported evidence of Moscow's help to Iran, this was, of course, revealed in the Clinton Cash book by Peter Schweitzer as well. So Robert Mueller, James Comey, has some involvement in this as well. And this goes deep. This is the entire deep state that is now trying to destroy Trump is involved in this deal to give weapons to Iran.
Now, when we come back, then, we're going to discuss why. Because this isn't just about does Iran have a right to a nuke or not. This is about deep state, globalist manipulations. This stuff went on. And again, I don't want to be enemies with Russia, but the truth is they did come in, they did buy off the company, they did buy off Hillary, they did buy off, Tony Podesta. This all went on, and then they turn around and say, we're all Russian agents, and Maxine Waters says you're all guilty. No, lady, you're guilty. You're guilty. Alex Jones here, back live with the Health Ranger, Mike Adams. Counterthink. Counter-thinking, counter to the establishment. Thinking for yourself. That's next level free thinking. A lot of people say, hey, Kanye West used to be a Democrat. He did all this stuff. It doesn't matter. He's promoting free thinking. He's under attack. He has courage. So many people we put on the map that we have on the broadcast later get a gig at Fox News or even a guest on it, and Fox News says, don't go on Alex Jones' show. And then I see them years later when they don't have their Fox contract, and they go, man, I didn't really get a response on Fox. They only paid me a little bit of money every year. It's like 30, 40 grand. They have tens of thousands of people. I mean, I know it's thousands on their payroll just that are controlled by them because they want to control the entire conservative sphere. I'm not trying to get other people on the show because I need them on the show most of the time. It's because I'm trying to launch them to a wider audience because they're articulate and smart. Now, with Mike Adams, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. This guy knows a lot more than I do on most subjects, and we're glad to have him doing Counterthink every Sunday right after my broadcast ends at 6 o'clock Central. And he's going to have this even more focused because I won't be here interrupting this Sunday, getting into this and more. So finishing here for people that just joined us, Trump is upset because we're talking 33+ billion in gold and cash, another 100 billion in assets, billions more in cash we're learning about. Trump says it's about 150 billion. And it's part of this Obama operation, funding the Muslim Brotherhood, funding the fall and downfall of different countries, funding the opening up of Europe. There's a larger global plan. And then laundering money back to himself and the Clinton Foundation. All these documents have come out. It's bold. It's outrageous. It's Lex Luthor level supervillain behavior. So looking at this now, this could bring down their syndicate as this stuff comes out and the alliance. But let me ask you this. What do you, from your research, and I've got my view, what were they planning if this thing with Iran all went through or didn't get exposed? And it's still ongoing. What were they planning? Because you can say all day, Netanyahu's got problems or whatever. He said there were WMDs when there weren't, back in 2002 or whatever. Soros, in the secret documents that have come out, wants to overthrow Israel. The Vatican wants to overthrow it. They say it's a Muslim future. They're breaking down the borders. So here's the deal. I know there's an Israel lobby. It's a diverse group. That there's this mental illness online by conservatives and liberals that you're a free thinker if you hate Israel, and that's the touchstone. None of the Muslim countries will take the 5 million Palestinians. Most of them aren't Palestinians. They've got millions of open-air, air-conditioned tents. Saudi Arabia won't take them. They won't take one. So here's the deal. The globalists have 1.3 billion people ready to invade Europe. They're having 6 kids on average. By 2030, that's 3 billion Muslims. They are coming as an authoritarian force to make me submit. Sharia law is already going into Europe. 10 years ago, I would hear this stuff. I knew the globalists worked with radical Islam, but I didn't believe it when I heard all the caliphate stuff in Turkey, and they're going to collapse the border, and the Muslims are going to outvote us. I didn't understand it was parliamentary, so even 10% can take over through a parliament. It's true. It's the plan. It's happening. I'm all in to stop it. We will stand for the West. We will stand for real classical liberal policies. We will stand for true open societies with true open people. We will stand against a cult of authoritarianism that abuses women, enslaves them, murders gays, you name it. And I will say to the so-called liberal lobby, the sorcerers, the Soroses, all of you leftists that point your finger at me and say, I'm a big meanie and I'm a bigot and I'm a Nazi. You're allied with Islam that to a man and woman was allied with Hitler, who also wanted this demographic and wanted to do this. The EU is a Hitler plan. They are following a Hitler plan. Juncker's grandfather was the richest man in the Reich. Juncker aircraft, Juncker munitions. His dad was a Nazi officer. Juncker is a Nazi. He's a globalist. The grandson of the richest Nazi runs the unelected EU and is allied with Islam. This is happening again, and the poor German people, the engine of Europe, have to finance this whole thing. They hate it, just like the Nazis got control of the German people again. Through intimidation, control, and everything, they've got the Germans again. So we're facing a replay of what happened in World War II right now. So why do you think this is happening? Who are the power players? What needs to happen, Mike Adams?
The big picture is the destruction of the United States of America. And this has been going on for decades, with Bill Clinton transferring technology to North Korea. Look at the technology transfers to China.
They got a 3 billion person army in 12 years that's ready to suicide bomb.
Yeah.
We need 200-foot walls. Notice they let them in and then take all of our rights, just like the French president said, oh, we need more security, and we're going to arrest men that sexually harassed, but the Muslims never did anything wrong. They bring it in. They take our rights because of the threat. They leave the borders open. This is a planned takeover. These people are traitorous enemies. Sorry, Mike, I'm ranting.
It's okay. It's a multifaceted attack, and you're absolutely right.
And I'm saying, wake up. This is World War IV. We're under attack. Raise the alarm, damn it.
Obama's goal was to give Iran nuclear weapons and for Iran to use those nuclear weapons against Israel. I'm convinced. No question about that whatsoever. And as they got longer and longer ranges on their ballistic missiles, for Iran to be able to threaten other countries.
They can already hit Moscow.
And maybe one day the United States, if they get the technology that North Korea has. But you're absolutely right, Alex. This is critical. Let me just wrap this up, because there's a couple of
wrap it up, and then what do you think the calculus is between Saudi Arabia and then the Shiites in Iran and the global deal? How do they think they're going to control a 3 billion person army?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Infowars reported this as well. We talked about how the deep state was covering all of this up while Obama was giving nuclear aid to Iran through nuclear fuel, money, as well as allowing technical know-how to arrive in Iran from Russia. Through the Russian collusion with President Trump's campaign, and Julian Assange at WikiLeaks tweeted a WikiLeaks released State Department cable documenting that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton ordered Robert Mueller to deliver a sample of stolen, highly enriched uranium to Russia in 2009. That's reported by Infowars, and then Roger Stone chimes in from a Daily Caller article in 2017. He talks about how the president has to order a special counsel to investigate the Obama, Clinton, Mueller, Rosenstein criminal collusion, he calls it, that enriched the Clinton Democrat crime syndicate and embedded the power of the deep state operators who facilitated the multi-billion-dollar.
And we need that last year. We need this now.
That's right. And then finally, when Mueller was FBI director in 2010, members of an interagency committee working under Obama facilitated a business deal that had grave public implications. This is also from Roger Stone in Daily Caller. The result of it was that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton effectively handed Russia and Vladimir Putin control over as much as 20% of the Iranian.
And so here's the question. What was the strategy long term? I mean, break down short term, midterm, long term, and where you think Iran is right now and what the new power configuration constellation is, because now with Trump, there is real tectonic collision.
Long-term plan was to gut America's tactical advantage by transferring military technology to Iran and other countries, and then to give Iran nuclear capability through funding that was laundered by Obama into Iran.
To entice them towards a first strike? What?
No question. No question that Iran has talked about a first strike. Well, under Ahmadinejad, of course. Now, not quite as much.
That's what I'm asking. What is the insane calculus of giving Iran weapons and then doing all this? What is the point?
It's, Alex, it's revelation. It's in Revelation, man. It's the Russia-Iran attack on Israel and the defensive nuking of Damascus in Syria. That's all in Revelation. I mean, it's all been written out of how this would play out. And Obama has been feeding the destructive nuclear side of this. Think about the things. Obama funded Iran's nuclear program. He transferred U.S. military technology. He covered up for Iran. He fueled the nuclear weapons development through enriched fuel transfer. He whitewashed their Russia's nuclear fuel acquisition and technology transfers to Iran. And then Obama conspired with America's enemies to give them power while hurting America.
And at the highest global level, then what's the next step after that?
Well, of course, it's the complete destruction of the United States of America, UN occupation.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the destruction of the West. They're going to just start race wars here and have us all destabilized while Europe deals with the big crisis of a collapsed Middle East. And then out of that comes the one world government. Remember, and the Pope up there saying, peace, love, turn in your guns. I'm the Pope.
At the same time, Obama was also inciting racial tension in America and evoking a race war in America.
He was running the Arab Spring.
Absolutely. Obama was systematically seeking to destroy America from within.
So it's classic Jacobin Illuminati worldwide revolution.
And it fits the constitutional definition of treason. Obama is a criminal against America.
He's a criminal against humanity.
Yeah, that too. So there you go, Alex. That's my report.
Powerful. Let's put a bookend on it. Paul Joseph Watson coming up. Please, the live video feeds, the audio feeds, the podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube, everything. Just fire out the live links. Only you can stop the globalists with God's help. Only you can override their censorship. Nothing can stop you if you take action.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Infowars comes to mind.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. Alex Jones.
There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website Infowars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the front floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control. UFOs.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world, the central bankers in charge?
Israel claims the attack was accidental, but some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This is a FEMA high-level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the president are citing Infowars.
They could shut us down. You're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, You are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Climb to the top of the food chain with Alpha Power by Infowars Life. For those who want to increase testosterone and energy levels. Most men know that testosterone levels begin to decline starting around 30 at a rate of about 1 to 2% per year. This drop can show signs such as fatigue, low energy, low sex drive, and muscle loss. Alpha Power is packed with some of the most potent and clinically tested ingredients on the market. The secret is in the synergistic blend of ancient ingredients that have been concentrated into their most potent forms, including Uricoma longifolia, originally from Malaysia, maca root from Peru, horny goatweed from China, and tribulus from India. Reach your alpha male potential with Alpha Power. Head to InfoWarsLife.com and secure your bottle today.